Hey guys, Amy here. Welcome to The Seed. Let's get creative.
Okay, so now I'd like to show you how you can turn the little pinch pot into a cute little cat pot. The first thing I'm going to do is take some of the clay, the air dry clay, out of the bag. Using the wire, slice off a thin piece of clay like this, about 1/2 centimetre thickness. Cover up the clay you're not using so it doesn't dry out. And I'll pop that out of the way so don't bump it with the rolling pin. Using your rolling pin, roll that out a little thinner. About 1/2 centimetre thickness should do it. And now what I'd like to do is, using my needle, oops, it was over there, and cutting with the needle, cut 2 triangle shapes. And those are going to become the ears of the cat. Okay, so the next thing I would do, hold the cat ear up the way you would place it on top of your pot, like that. Okay, so this surface here that is going to join to the top of your pinch pot, just thin that out a little bit more. And the same goes for the second ear. And now, a good idea would be to take the needle and score that area that I just pinched a little thinner. 1 ear, 2, and now have a look at where you would join these ears to the pot. Would you put them close together or further apart? Probably that far apart would do. Okay, so where you would like to join the ears to the top of this pinch pot, do another little scratch with the needle. So cross hatch, make it quite, obvious. Don't be too scared to scratch into the clay. And now with the slurry, take some of the slurry, wipe it onto the scored area of both ears. Covering the scored area with the slurry. And then with the slurried surface, place it onto the scratched surface, the scratched area on the pinch pot. So yeah, the sticky side down onto the scored area of the pinch pot. And that's going to help glue these ears on. If you just pop them on, try to squeeze them on with your fingers, they're not going to stay there. They'll eventually fall off while, in the drying process. So absolutely do always use the needle to score the clay and use the slurry between both surfaces that you are joining. The metal tool, it's called a metal kidney, is a useful little tool for smoothing the clay surface, making that join disappear. See how it smooths it out? And it also pushes the clay firmly in place. So there you have the ears of the cat. You can use a damp sponge, of course, to try to smooth that surface even more. Just don't add too much water, making the clay very sloppy and wet. All right, now, how about we add a couple of eyes? What I would do, actually this little piece of clay that we use to cut the ears, how about you just pinch 2 little tiny bits of clay off that there and just roll maybe between your fingers and have a look at the size. It's quite a good idea if they're about the same size. So yep, they're going to become the eyes. Now this is a little more difficult, of course, to scratch in slurry because they're so small, but just a little cross here and there. One and another one. It's quite fiddly, but that's okay. And then again, oh, sticking to my finger. I'm going to pop those eyes on the pinch pot around about there. Tiny little bit of slurry on the eyeball. Oh, a little bit too much. Pop that on. One eye. Second eye. Oops. This is when you need to wipe your hands on your tea towel. Okay. Just gently squeeze those on. One hand on the inside, thumb on the outside, and just push those on. And if you need to, you can tidy up a little bit around the edges. I'd probably use the other side of the needle now, the other end I mean, to create the pupils. A little bit big. I suppose you could use the pointy end of the needle as well. And now for a tiny little nose, even smaller than the eyes. And the nose looks quite cute if you pinch it into a little triangle shape. And again, it's just a quick scratch, little crisscross, crisscross, tiny little dollop of slurry. And again, if you do this, I can assure you it's not going to drop off. Actually, one of these wooden tools might come in handy for shaping that little nose. You can use any of the tools for texturing, of course. Whatever reason, you might need it. And now, how about a couple of larger cheeks, I think would look cool. So, again, I'll just roll that between the palms of my hands. And the second one looks like it's a bit too small. Maybe a bit, tiny little addition of clay to that one. I'd like them to be the same size. Still not big enough. Okay, rolling in the palms of my hands, between the palms of my hands to make 2 little cheeks. And now I'm going to just gently squash those into little pancakes. And again, scratch, scratch, both of them onto, scratch the pot where you're going to put the cheeks. Again, some slurry, pop that on each cheek. A good smush. A good helping of slurry, and then place those on. I'm squeezing, I've put my hand on the inside and then thumb on the outside to just gently pop those on, like that. It's getting there. So eyes, nose, cheeks so far. And what also looks cool on the cheeks is if you just do some little holes, make some little holes with the needle. And now for a tiny little silly tongue. I'm just going to take a tiny little piece of clay, and again just a little line on there and a little scratch here, tiny little, oh, where'd the scratch go? There, and pop that on there. And so there you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, a little nose, 2 cheeks, and a little tongue. And of course, the finishing touch would have to be some whiskers. You can use the needle, but I think I would prefer this wooden tool. The needle could go in too deep and create a crack, you know, you could accidentally go right through the wall of the pinch pot. So I'd use the wooden tool and just gently make some lines like that. To suggest whiskers. Now, of course, when this is bone dry, it would be really cool if you painted your cat with acrylic paints in whatever colour you choose. Between the palms of your hands, roll them nice and smooth. And you can leave them round like that if you like. Imagine 4 little ball feet underneath. But if you like, you could also pinch each ball into a pointed foot. So I'm just squeezing those into 4 pointy shapes. 1, 2, 3, and last of all 4. And then each of these pointy shapes, with the point facing up, just bang it down on the board so that you've got one, the other side, the other end is flat, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again, once again, you must scratch and slurry. So each surface gets a quick scratch underneath on the flat end, because that's the surface that will join to the bottom of your pinch pot, your cat pot. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Hold your pot up carefully in the palm of your hand like that, and scratch where you're going to place. Oh, maybe have a look. Hold it so that the face of the cat's pointing up to the ceiling, and I would put 2 either side here, and then another 2 here. And of course, the slurry. Oh, we're nearly running out. pop a little bit of slurry exactly where you're going to join your feet on. One foot, gentle press and a little twist. And of course you do that with the other 3 feet. Slurry all the surfaces that are going to join. A good little nudge and a wind onto the bottom of the pot, making sure it's well and truly joined onto the bottom of your cat pot. Now the nice thing about this is the feet give the cat pot a little more height. What you would now do is wait until this pot is bone dry, and then you can get out your acrylics and have fun painting it in whatever colours you choose. Also, if you would like to make the pot watertight, once the acrylic paint is dry, you could seal the inside with some sort of sealant, like a polyurethane spray paint or a silicone sealer in a spray can. Which you can buy at places like Bunnings and whatnot. So yeah, you could make that watertight to hold a little plant, for instance, a little succulent. And there you have it. Thank you for joining me.